Hi there, and welcome to another video. This is going to be more of like a chill oil painting, almost vlog style kind of video, but I am going to be talking to you guys the whole time, so there is no real time Kelsey, unfortunately. I've been struggling with some migraines recently that sort of inhibited my ability to like really effectively speak on camera, so apologies for that. Working through it, trying to figure out what's causing it and all of that. Yeah, also Omicron is hitting New York City very hard, and Drake and I are doing our best to stop the spread and stay indoors. So he is working from home for the next few weeks, which means that he's taking up my desk area, which is totally fine, but it means that I am sort of floating adrift and I have less of an opportunity to film all the time. So we're just sort of going to hang out in this video. I'm prepping my oil painting palette right now, putting some colors out, scraping down the leftover dried paint from my palette. I use a glass palette. It's, in my experience, much more durable and reusable, of course, than other palette options, and it's also just really nice to work on. I don't know, I just like really enjoy the experience. So I'm just squeezing out some Gamblin oil paint and we're getting to work here. In my last video, I talked about how I wanted to get more comfortable using oil paints because I have this huge panel that I really want to work on in 2022. I really want to like make bigger paintings, and a part of like getting in the right headspace to do that is to do a lot of smaller paintings and to like get more experience with oils. There was a time where I was painting with oils regularly, but now it's more of like an intermittent thing. So I wanted to kind of, I don't know, like gain a little bit more experience, get back into the zone and the headspace of using oil paints. So for all of this video, we're just painting mushrooms. I start off with painting mushrooms on this oil painting paper. This is the Arches oil painting paper, probably like the most sketchbooky kind of experience that you can really get with oil paints. I know there are some artists out there like Alpe Efe that use oil paint in a sketchbook. For me, like I don't have, I guess, the space to really have like a book lying open like that for such a long time while it dries, so I don't tend to work like that. When I want a more like sketchy, doodly experience with oil paints, I typically just like use a very big sheet of oil painting paper like this to kind of give myself room to branch out and try new things, and that's basically what we're doing in this one, just warming up with some oil painting sketches, I guess, if you will, of these mushrooms. I had an idea going in of wanting them to be stickers, so that would be kind of an interesting little concept, but I really struggled with having to get the proportions right, like relatively right away, and not being able to sort of carve out the shapes with the background, and so eventually I switched gears and started painting mushrooms on my smaller cradled panels, like this one over here. And these like red mushrooms with the white dots on them are actually called fly agaric, which I didn't know. That's like their scientific name. I had no idea, but I thought it was kind of interesting. I've seen these mushrooms in person in Alaska before, and they're like very funky looking. It gives very much Alice in Wonderland kind of energy, and I found these reference photos on Pinterest. I did add a little bit more movement to the mushroom that isn't present in the reference photos, just to make the pose, I guess, and the composition a little more dynamic. And as you guys see me work through this painting, you'll notice that I really struggle with the background. I wasn't sure what I wanted it to look like. I wanted to experiment with like more than just a solid background, but I wasn't sure how much stuff I wanted there to be, and if I wanted it to be in focus or sort of a little bit more abstract and kind of organic looking. So I experimented with a lot of different looks, and that's just sort of, I think, a part of this adventure of warming up and trying to get better. And I don't like to hold myself to the standard of having everything needing to be perfect. I think a huge part of just practicing is giving yourself the freedom to make bad art. And I think bad art is just very important as not just like a practical thing, right? Like you need to make bad art to make good art. Like no one comes out of the womb fully formed and ready to go to paint their masterpiece. Like Da Vinci's first painting wasn't the Mona Lisa. You have to make lots of bad art in order to make good art. But I think on a deeper level than that, giving myself the permission to make bad art allows me to experiment a little bit more and try new things. And I think And when I do give myself that freedom to try new things and experiment, I often have these like epiphany eureka moments where I discover new realizations that will really, really positively benefit me. So working in limited brush strokes, trying to use the biggest brush possible for the task, and painting really fast, not worrying about whether or not it's good, just trying to get some paint on the surface really does help me sort of get some hours in and level up this skill. So yeah, that's sort of what we work on for this whole video, basically just mushroom paintings, and we don't finish any of them. I think that's fine. I am trying to break out of this self-imposed rule of having to finish a painting for every video. You guys will have noticed that I have been leaving more and more paintings unfinished in videos, and we sort of finish them in the next video or in the next vlog, and that really helps me as an artist, as an oil painter, because oil painting is not particularly fast, generally speaking. Oil painting is a fairly slow process, at least the way that I do it. I like to have breaks in between because oftentimes I do get frustrated while working. I do get frustrated while I'm making art, and I encounter these obstacles that I'm not sure how to resolve, and letting it dry, like putting it away for a little bit, working on something else, gives me the time and the space that I need to come back to it when I feel ready, and with a different mindset, with a fresh perspective, so that I'm ready to tackle those problems again. And it's not very conducive to social media, and that's a big reason why I'm not really doing lots of short form video content anymore, either on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts. It's just like it's not really my thing. I know that like it would be good if I were to post stuff like that, but it's just not for me. So I haven't really been doing it. And I think ultimately, like, the best way to get a healthier relationship with social media is to only post content that you are interested in posting, and to not feel this pressure to do what everyone else is doing. It's just really important to take care of yourself, and especially right now in the times that we're living in, God, I hate saying that, it sounds so cliche, but in the times that we're living in, like, it is important to be a little bit selfish here and there to really safeguard your mindset and your creativity, because burnout can happen so quickly. I've been posting 3 times a week for, a few weeks now for the month of December in my like sort of Vlogmas challenge, and I felt burnout creep up on me faster than I was expecting in ways that I didn't expect. And it's just really important to acknowledge where you're at and be really mindful of the stress that you're putting on yourself, sometimes unnecessarily, to conform to your perceived ideal of whatever you want to be. So we're fixing up our palette and starting on this new painting now. This painting is just a pair of mushrooms. They're just chilling out side by side, doing their own thing, and they look very cute together, in my opinion. I think they just look adorable, and we use a fairly similar premise here of doing like this roughly kind of warm golden-ish underpainting, drawing out our composition and our shapes. And I do basically the same thing as before, and I start out with the background, carving out this shape, making sure that I get the shape of the mushrooms and their proportions all correct, or at least like passable. I'm not really super tied down to my reference photos ever, especially when it's something like this. Inanimate objects are very easy to just like shape however you want. I think like with people and animals especially, it's very easy to mess it up, and I think our minds and your eyes instinctively know when something is a little bit off, and it can be tricky to pinpoint what that is. But with inanimate objects, especially something organic like mushrooms, it's really more malleable, and so I don't stick super close to my reference photos at all here. I'm just kind of doing what feels right, messing around, experimenting a little bit, and that's sort of what the spirit of this video is really all about. Just trying something, just trying some new stuff and figuring out what's what and what works and what doesn't, and going from there. So yeah, it's nice though. I think it was really sort of cathartic to work on these, and the color palette that we end up going with here, like this very warm color palette with these 2 mushrooms, this like really dark vibrant greens, I think it all like pairs very nicely, and I'm looking forward to figuring out how this painting develops in the future. I did get a little bit frustrated with both of these paintings, so I do set them aside. We don't finish them in this video. That's fine. We'll finish them in future vlogs, I think, like probably later this week or maybe next week. Oh, and speaking of this week and next week, I won't be uploading on Friday, aka Christmas Eve, just because I want to rest and reset a little bit for the holidays. There will be some exclusive content over on Patreon, so patrons get early access to some of my videos. They also get exclusive video walkthroughs for things like how much money I make on YouTube, what my stats are, like a deep dive into my analytics, and I also post exclusive podcast episodes and full effort videos like this one where you can see a full painting process, typically from start to finish over on Patreon. And we have lots of amazing content over there. I post like song recommendations, book recommendations. We have reference packs of photos that I've taken myself and that my boyfriend has taken. We have reference photo packs from Alaska, Wisconsin, just like a lot of stuff. And I'm really trying to make it a place where there is tons of value. There's also some Notion templates over there if you're interested in my Notion template and how I set all that stuff up. So I am trying to make it into a very substantial resource for people. That being said though, I never want you guys to feel pressured in any way to join my Patreon. Just do that if you want to. There's lots of resources over there, but never feel like pressured to do that. Don't feel guilty about it. I get some messages and DMs and comments sometimes being like, I'm so sorry that I can't join your Patreon, and like, don't worry about it. And I never want you to feel pressured or guilty that you can't join. So with that being said, we are wrapping up this vlog a little bit. We have a few more minutes left of this painting process, but I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you enjoy the rest of the music and that you have a wonderful day and an amazing holiday season. Please stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.